name is Khalife, and I'm a junior at Wellspring Learning Community. Today, I'm going to be discussing Lebanese coffee cups. I'm sure most of you are aware of some basic facts about coffee and coffee cups, but I'm going to be discussing their relevance in Lebanese society. So I'm not an expert, but I promised that I tried to learn as much as I could to satisfy my curiosity about the topic. Someone here is very likely to know more than me about this topic, so please correct me and ask questions and contribute, but do so nicely. I'm not trying to persuade you of anything or convince you of anything. My only hope is that I can cultivate your curiosities and get you to form questions about the topic. So I'm going to be discussing firstly the history of Arabic coffee, then the design of the coffee cups, and finally, what are the ties of coffee to Arab values, culture, history, etc. So the reason I'm curious about this is that as a Lebanese, having lived the majority of my life in the US, I never really knew much about my culture or felt connected to my roots. However, something I always felt was the significance that coffee gatherings held for my parents. They were always talking about going back home, having a cup of coffee in the morning with their family, friends, and loved ones. And I would always note how they made it a point each morning to coffee for each other and drink it regardless of what they had planned for the day. I always had an image of these typical coffee cups that you can see to the right as a representation of Lebanon that I've heard so much about. I was recently informed, however, that these cups were not originally Lebanese or Arab at all. And therefore, I found myself questioning their ties to my culture and asking myself to what extent they're intertwined with the essence of the Arab world. So the question I am exploring is, what is the significance of Arabic coffee in Lebanese culture and society? Now, to start with the history of Arabic coffee. Coffee beans can be traced back to the southern Red Sea region, which would be modern-day Ethiopia and Yemen. They were originally used due to their perceived spiritual powers. They were used before prayer, anytime anyone was in need of spiritual aid in anything, after the loss of someone, anything spiritual, basically. The English word for coffee, it actually comes from the Arabic word qahwa, and as well as the Dutch word, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I'm sure most of you here are familiar with Arabica beans, which are grown in Brazil. They're used in most Western coffee that we drink today. Most Starbucks drinks that you get use Arabica coffee beans in their brewing. However, they're used differently in Arabic coffee, which it's generally way thicker, and you drink a much smaller portion of it. And each Arab country has its own version of Arabic coffee. Lebanon's, for example, is served without a face on top and is usually darker in color and thicker in consistency. It's also important to note that the term Arabic coffee is used pretty interchangeably with Turkish coffee, as they're very similar. The entire process of making coffee is really ceremonial and is done in front of guests, and it has been done this way for centuries. The Magawi, or as you can see on the right, they're the people that make the coffee. Basically, they roast the beans before grinding them, then they boil them and pour them into a dalla. The entire process is really considered an opportunity to bond, more so than just a chance to drink coffee. And what's interesting is that it's accompanied by singing. While grinding the beans in their stone grinder, they'll usually create like a tune and start singing songs to go along with it that the rest of the guests will hop in and join, and it just becomes a really memorable experience. Now, with the culture of gathering culture and getting together to drink coffee, came cafes. Here you can see many pictures detailing the creation of cafes. This is an image of, or a drawing of early merchants having a coffee break in the middle of the desert. They basically, regardless of the heat, regardless of the activities for the rest of the day, They will stop where they are and have at least one cup of coffee with people traveling with them and with fellow merchants that they've never met. And it was really just an opportunity to get to know other people. Next is a drawing of the first ever coffee shop in the world, which was located in Constantinople. It was really just a hub for social gatherings, for meeting new people, etc. And as you can see, there's coffee along with hookah and other gatherings. This is one of the first coffee shops in the Arab world located in Naira, and you can again see the atmosphere of friendliness and socializing. And this is one of the oldest still existing cafes in Lebanon. What I found really interesting is that if you go to a cafe like this one in any older village, you will go and see almost this exact picture right there with different generations mixing and enjoying coffee together and just having a really interesting time. Now, as for the design of these coffee cups that I mentioned earlier, despite their importance to Arabs, they're mostly originating from Ethiopia, where they used to be custom painted individually. However, now they're mostly mass-produced in China. I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but they're really small. Like they're more so like espresso cups than a coffee cup, maybe even smaller. But this is the ideal serving size to keep the gathering going. As like I said, Arabic coffee is really thick and it's really unusual to drink a full mug. The opening shape at the top is really distinctive and it makes it easier to sip from, hence the common name in Lebanon, which is a shafi cup. As for the fact that they do not have handles, I personally am not sure if this had any particular reason. However, this is the way that coffee has been served and drank since the beginning of it in Yemen. They used small cups without handles. Now, the opening shape at the top is also ideal for Arabic coffee readers or fortune tellers, who once the drinker is done drinking, they flip the cup upside down onto a plate and wait for the remnants of the coffee to draw out the future ahead. They can interpret it in many different ways based on who's reading it. And in general, it's not taken very seriously, but it is a fun ongoing tradition in many Arab countries to interpret your past and see what's planned for your future. There are many color combinations of these cups, mostly using blue, red, and green. However, the most common colors here in Lebanon are the red and green because they're thought to represent the Lebanese flag. Obviously, as we discussed, this is not the original intention, as they're not originally Lebanese, but a lot of people have identified with them, and that's why they're really common. Something else that's interesting is the reference to tulips throughout the whole cup, going from the painted flowers to the sides to the opening shape of the cup, and even the leaves separating the flowers. The design was heavily influenced by tulips. Now, these cups have been very influential when it comes to art and design. The first image is one that I saw on TikTok the other day. It was a 3D animation created by, I have his under the picture. He basically placed a Lebanese village inside one of these cups, and it was a really beautiful 3D animation. The second is these large potted plants that I have noticed in coffee shops and cafes and even homes a lot these past few months. They're basically giant pots, but they look exactly like these cups. Now, an interesting thing is the use of this distinctive design on different types of cups that are not usually accommodated for Arabic coffee, like mugs, as well as the use of these cups with different painted designs, which may be custom, which may have different sentimental meanings or anything. And for the final section, what are the ties of coffee to Arab values, culture, history, etc.? There are many linked values that are pretty distinctively Arab. This is not to say that they're only Arab. However, it's something that Arabs are known to really prioritize. These go from generosity, hospitality, to problem solving, and to priorities of family and loved ones socializing. Usually, if you're in dispute with someone, you will not find, like, two people in dispute will not be found drinking coffee together, as it really symbolizes finding common ground and understanding and acceptance of the other. So when you see two people that are previously fighting having a cup of Arabic coffee together, you can usually infer that they've worked through their differences. Another thing I found really interesting was that the phrase used to invite people over for anything is "come have a cup of coffee." Regardless of what activities will be done, what will be served, anything, it all centers around the initial idea of gathering for coffee. In Arabic, this would be "tashrab finjan ahwe," and it has the same exact meaning. As you can see on the picture to the left as well, when filling these cups in a gathering, enough cups are filled for everybody in attendance before even asking if they would like to drink. This is it's another show of generosity and hospitality, and honestly, a sign of Arabs not taking no as an answer. The man in the picture on the right is Nasib Salman Taleh, and he said, he has rubbed shoulders with presidents, royalty, and celebrities. He has served coffee to thousands of guests with the same dedication and love, yet cherishes those who visited the hotel as children and later returned as adults to see him again and drink his coffee. Through this quote and through Nasib's experiences at the Phoenicia Hotel, we can really see the importance that coffee has had on the majority of the population here. He took his job as an opportunity to get to know people of all different backgrounds and careers and everything. And it was really a way to meet new people and to really gain a new perspective on many, many things. And I thought it was really interesting how people would visit him as children and drink his coffee and really have this experience and returned as adults. They didn't just leave it as something in their past. It was something that really stayed with them. And I think this just really shows the connection of coffee to our values and traditions. So big takeaway from this is that coffee is more than a drink for Arabs, and these cups are more than just cups. They're more of symbols of the connections of Arab values. Coffee is an experience that is tied to values of family, hospitality, and generosity that are inherent to Arab culture. And it has many rituals connected to it, ranging from music to fortune telling, and is intertwined with many traditions across the Arab world. Expats usually cling to any resemblance of home, and these cups are often a very nostalgic symbol. For old generations and for new, they represent hope and are really a reminder of better times. Thank you for listening. These are some sources I found very, very interesting if you'd like to check them out to learn more about the topic. And here is, if you have any questions, if you want to contact me.